that we did not talk about, and hopefully, you could pick up on some of the things that we wasn't able to get to in this conversation that you would like to say?
I guess more of what you guys do as far as your business, because how do you make your money? And I don't know if that's part of the podcast, or that's something that's discussed later, or you guys are just doing it for
Just to be helping
because
out,
you
you
love
know.
because you love the community.
Well, we told you this was a unique. Well, see, you hit all the favorite points, but I'm going to let Razak answer this because I think he has a better explanation as to what the importance are, as to what we're doing and why we're doing it,
Mhm.
and I think he can articulate that pretty good. Why don't you go for it, Razak?
Well, as far as what we do is outside of the podcast. As I explained in my introduction, I generally just help out with, getting my business is other people's business. So outside of doing the podcast, and I would help, your marketing, trying to get your web page together, trying to, formulate what it is that you're having in your brain, and then put it into the social media site. What I mean, try to advertise it, try to market it, try to promote it with licenses that you need it. Keith has the apparel. Joy Be Love is actually a clothing and apparel. We have all these other different avenues that we get revenue from. But at the same time, the podcast was generally um, created in the sense to communicate with other business owners and to give them a platform for exposure, and to allow them to be celebrated in a sense. And as far as being a minority community, a black community, it's all about uh, giving back in a sense. So when we meet people and you say, hey, I'm at the vending show too, I'm at the pop ups, what I mean, and I'm going to go over here and I'll meet these persons. So this person was at the last one, this person was at the last one. You might have had some words, but do you guys know each other? Do you guys, because we have our own little background stories about struggling and doing everything, and how we got to this moment in time, and why we're so generous with our time, and our efforts to get other people into a platform to where they're the stars of the show. But aside from that, it's more about just giving exposure and a way to give back, to and with as far as finances is a fine, why we're not getting paid at this present time. Really the most uh, uh, basic answer, the realest honest answer I give you is this: we were just starting. We just started doing this. YouTube and Instagram and all these different other areas that you can gain income from through followers and subscribers and stuff like that. That's why we always ask you to subscribe. That's why we always ask for you for your views. We always ask you to bring, not only just have you on here, but go grab somebody else that that's with a business, or an athlete, or a singer, or whatever they might be doing. They could be working for somebody else, but it's just the story of how they got to where they are. Come put it on our show. That gains us more viewers, that gains us more subscribers, that gets us more followers, and we can get paid through that way. What I mean, it doesn't really take too much to push subscribe, even if you're not looking at YouTube all the time. I'm not always on YouTube. I'm not always on Instagram and all these things, but I could push this thing, and it doesn't cost you nothing. And that could be payment in a sense. That's why people have so many followers, so many views and subscriptions, and they might not even be even looking at it all the time. So we get paid through that way, but in a more basic right now relevant sense, that I mean, we'll get paid in a few, another month or so, or something, that when we get a little bit bigger, what I mean, we may just extend sponsorship, like your products right here, your Avon. We can bring you on, we can do commercials, we can do all different other elements to the podcast that we have in the works. You know what I mean? And that brings revenue through the podcast. Go onto the site, Joy Be Love, and and buy something. It could be $5, it could be $3. I haven't went on there myself. I went on there a couple of times, myself, but not in the recent things. So I don't, that might be something we need to do too, is broadcast what new products that you have, and then grab something, and that helps the podcast. We have different other ways to make a source of income.
And you said that your website is joybeloved.com.
Well, I think, yeah, I couldn't hear.
Yeah,
I think it's a little delay.
The
I can hear. Say it again.
KF&JF podcast is also related with the joybeloved.com. It all the way that the things that are bought and sold on the joybeloved.com website, it's an apparel. There's more than just clothing on there, but you go in there and you buy things off of there, and that funds the podcast, because the podcast in the real sense is just another web domain site that you have to pay into 10 20 something dollars a month, or you can just get a year's, all these type of things. So in the sense of accessibility, it's real easy for anybody to just do certain things as far as what we use to do the podcast. But it's just the general idea of actually having somebody who wants to go and meet other people, who wants to put you in the spotlight, and we'll just be the ones who are sort of like, finding the talent type of stuff. So we're finding you guys, we're bringing you on, and we're showcasing what nobody knows about you. As you walk down the street, like you were saying, you have all these Walmart or somebody, CVS, Burger King, all these different places that you see all the time. Those are people who are well off. They're doing well. If somebody's buying into a franchise, they're doing good. But do we know the story behind them? And then once you know the story behind them, that's kind of it. It kind of like ends right there. But who are the people who are funding, or I should say, who are the products that they have in these stores? Who are those people? And what kind of background story do they have? So that's what we want. That's what we're reaching into. Not the big person, the big name brand who's actually warehousing these things, but who are the people that are on the shelves, and who are the people who are still trying to get on the shelves, or get into the retail, and or whatever services that they may have. And that's what we're trying to. And this is going inside the black and brown community, minorities. We want to always. I always say the ground level. We always keep in mind. Never to have any whatever level status that we get to in subscriptions or followers and stuff. We're always looking for the mom and pop shop type of people, and to give them make sure they're celebrated, and they're the stars. They're doing something in the community that are being overlooked, and it's not going heard or seen. And then that's what we do on the cast. We give you that, that broadcasting in a sense.
Okay. So you know what? I think now podcasts, I'm sure, have been around for eons, but it's something that's new. To me, it's new. It's definitely new to me. But there's a lot of information. But I was like, well, it seemed like when I tried to find you guys at first, because I listened to podcasts through Spotify, I couldn't find it. But when I opened up Spotify just now, you were the top one up there.
Okay.
You were the first one. So that I'm sure that's some type of algorithm that,
Yeah, and that's another thing too, because a lot of the podcasts that you have in pre-existing right now, they're always looking for the superstar billionaire guy, and I'm pretty sure having this athlete or musician or star in there does something as far as the views and subscriptions, but with that, you have a person who has been on 30, 40 other podcasts, been in the magazines, they've been on TV shows, they got award shows.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good. That's great that you have got that level of success. But let's not forget about the other thousands and millions of other people in the world who have also accomplished something. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
why are they not celebrated? Just like when they say about these seasonal holidays and stuff like that, well, your birthday or something. Like, it's like, oh, on your birthday, on Christmas or something, then we bring gifts. Now we Thanksgiving, now we sit down at the table, now we call everybody. Why does it have to be that holiday? Why does it have to be that birthday? Why isn't any other day out the entire year, a day that you can also do that? You know what I mean? So like my grandma, when she had passed away, she used to always gather us together. She was like the person that was like, hey, it didn't have to be nobody's birthday, didn't have to be no holiday. It was just a feeling of gathering. I'm like, hey, what you doing? Let's
Mhm.
sit around the table, let's go out. You know what I mean? So in that sense, I mean, the podcast in kind of a real time way is saying like, hey, let's gather together, and let's talk about each other's accomplishments. Let's celebrate. Let's get the pats on the back. Let's get the information, the education, the drive, the motive, the encouragement that we need to keep going. And you have already said that you was dealing with a lot, having a son and a daughter. You wanted to do. You had your mother pass. That's dealing with a lot. And a lot of people are not going to know that about you, and or know that about the person who's pushing these products unless you come on a podcast, because I don't know of any other place that's actually looking at the small businesses, the small minority businesses, or we can say a lot of the black owned businesses is being publicized in some of the media and urban avenues that they have, but is it really just a small business, or is it somebody who's connected to a superstar or connected to an athlete, connected, what I mean, or is it really just some random person? We have random people, what I mean. It's not somebody who has to be connected to a superstar, what I mean, or reference through somebody who's a cousin of a superstar or something like that,
Mhm.
what I mean. So that is a lot of difference, and we like to deal with people in their own environment. We don't grab the studio. We don't put on big chains and have all this fancy designer gear, just to hear from you about how you got into your business, why you got into your business, what I mean, and how do you feel about doing your business. That you would your answers change if I had a big old chain on, if who was a if this was a big old fancy studio with what we was in, would your answers
I
change?
probably I probably wouldn't even have been on here.
No. So you probably when he showed up, huh? Well, see,
Yeah, I probably would not. Uh, Keith, right? If Keith would have approached me and he had the chain and the yo mama attitude,
Uh,
I probably would have
nah.
like, okay,
Well,
um, okay, I'm good. No, you do you, and yeah, I probably would not have been on here to be
yeah,
honest with you.
let me tell
Yeah.
you a
yeah,
So
couple
no,
of reasons why the podcast exists is because of the fact that we're it's a delay, and I know it's a delay because you're not hearing me when I first talk, but I'm just going to just say this: the podcast was started simply to help other people, was to help bring other people that's in the community to the forefront. We don't have no way of, if any of these pop up tents or any of these vendor events people go to, the news can come out there and showcase you for 15 minutes. But we've been on this podcast for over an hour. We've learned different things about each other, and you're not going to get that from a lot of the podcasts. So that is the basis for where and how this podcast exists. And together with Razak, one of the things that, like he's mentioned, is the ground up, right? We want that ground view. We want to see the bomb and pop. That's why when you see JT, him and his wife, they're making that tea. They didn't have no idea about this podcast until they came on and did that. And one of the things was to make people comfortable, to make people feel as if that,
mm,
we can have a casual conversation about our family, about our people, about our triumphs and everything. Those things are important to share with our communities. And then when you look back on this, or your kids look back on it and see you, when you sitting around retired and everything, you can replay this. It's gonna be there, and they're gonna see that mom was out there. She talked about about her, her feelings, and she let us know things that we didn't even know. And that's another way for to make an impact on our family and our community. And there are no podcasts out there or maybe they are, I haven't seen, that are specifically designed to help the small business black and minority entrepreneur around their community in their neighborhood. Like we went over, I went right over there to where I met you at was Cake's Pop Up, right? That's just right there at the VFW. But everybody there, I practically interviewed and put on the show. So it's because not everybody knows about that place, but we go there to support each other. That's the reason why we
Mhm.
go. We go and pay that money, even though we may not get a lot of vendors, but we're supporting the whole black community and the people that are there. And so the podcast needs to be looked at in a way that it's open to sharing the struggles and journeys of our people. And as we grow and as things progress, yes, somewhere there'll be a financial obligation, or maybe we'll ask for something. But right now, we're not asking but nothing but you to pass it along. Just keep passing the baton of subscription, of views, of sharing, because all of those things are going to bring more people to the show, and it'll grow, it'll get better, we'll get better, situation will get better, and everybody that was in this will be part of the team. That's how I see it.